thanks so much for joining us here at the Vanity Fair Summit. So you are about to go on stage with Martha Stewart, and you are announcing today that Food Network Kitchen is going live. Consumers can now sign up.
Right.
Tell us what you've seen so far in terms of early demand since you announced last month, and what this all says about your direct-to-consumer strategy going forward.
Sure. It's a very unique product. It really was born last Thanksgiving when 85 million people came to us online in the 3 days before Thanksgiving asking for help in making their Thanksgiving meal. And so we looked at that, and we looked at the fact that we have most of the great chefs around the world are working with us. And we hired the guy that built Marketplace for Amazon, and we built this very unique product. 25 live cooking classes a week, about 1,000. It's like the Peloton of food, but it also allows you with one touch to get all of your groceries delivered to your house. So it's very functional, and nobody needs to be alone in the kitchen anymore.
Since you announced it, based on the response you've heard so far, can you give us any sense of how many subscribers you expect to get in the first year? I mean, do you have an indication based on demand?
Well, the beta has gone great. People love it, and they're using it extensively. So we think we have a terrific product. You know, it's really, food is unique. It's one of the reasons why we bought Scripps, Food and Home. There's a huge fight over who's going to own the home, and people spend kind of their most emotional time and important time in the kitchen, and we're really fighting to own the kitchen. Most media companies are trying to get into the home with content, with storytelling, with scripted series and scripted movies. And for us, this is a very practical way to help people. And everybody asks the same question every day in every language everywhere in the world. They always ask, what's for dinner? And so we think that this you know, the actual scale of how big this could be over the next tens of millions, we think over the next several years in the U.S., and a multiple of that around the world. And remember, we have Food Network here in the U.S. and cooking. Mm-hmm. Food Network is the number 2 or 3 channel for women, and that's actually like a funnel. The people that love food and cooking are watching our channels, and now we can tell them to come to us, and we can help you make your meals in the kitchen.
But then if you're telling the people who are watching on TV to come to you and subscribe directly, is it possible that you could actually end up driving cord cutting because you're telling people who are subscribing to a pay TV bundle that they don't need to anymore to get your content?
See, but the distinction here is this is a different product. These are cooking classes. So Martha is going to be cooking for 4 consecutive days going up to Thanksgiving. It's cooking classes on 4 different Thanksgiving dinners. So this isn't competing with diners and dives. It's not competing with our traditional content, which people love to watch on a one-way experience. It's also interactive. So if you have questions about a recipe or about a meal, you can call in and get it answered.
So you mentioned HGTV. You have a Chip and Joanna Gaines direct-to-consumer service launching next year. Right. You have 3 sports direct-to-consumer services, cycling, golf, and Eurosport overseas. Do you see a world in which you're going to bundle together these services to give consumers who like your types of products a new type of mini bundle?
Well, first is that we own all of our content, and we own almost all of it globally. So we have full flexibility. For now, what we're doing is we're watching the 7 or 8 great media companies that are fighting over entertainment, whether that's HBO or Showtime or Disney Plus or Netflix. They're all doing entertainment scripted and movies. So we see ourselves as differentiated. Right now we're offering a lot of our products individually, like we're offering golf and cycling. But in Europe, we do have an aggregated sports product. We have the ability to aggregate, and we've never been stronger in the U.S. We're now the largest media company for women in the U.S.
But are you going to work on a bundle where there's going to be a bundle for women of home and cooking and all of that
stuff? ID.
Yeah.
Look, I think everything is on the table.
Mm-hmm.
The interesting moment for us is that everybody on the entertainment side needs more content. So we're talking to each of the major players they've been talking to us about whether we want to provide more content to them or some content to them. And for now, we've decided not to. We think we could either go individually with food and home and Oprah and Chip and Jo and crime, or we could aggregate here in the U.S. And we'll look over the next year and determine what we want to do. But right now, this Food Network kitchen product, we think, could really change the game in the kitchen.
And in general, you're not interested in selling content to these giants?
No, we haven't been selling our content because people come to us. And I think, you know, the idea that we own all of our content globally gives us, I think, real power and real scale.
David Faber wants to jump in here.
Hey, David.
Hello, Mr. Zaslav. A question for me on the stock price. And I'm sure, I know you look at it. I'm looking at a 5-year chart. You had lows in 17. You're well off them. But the multiple on your stock just keeps coming down. The entire group is trading at ridiculous, well, I shouldn't say that, at very low multiples. Is there anything you think you can do to change the narrative that's going to get investors to actually pay a higher multiple for companies like your own?
Good question. The first thing we did was, when we bought Scripps, we were making $1.4 billion in free cash flow. They were making $700. We said we have a target of $3 billion in free cash flow over the next 2 to 3 years. And we said we were going to take our leverage from 4.7 or 4.8 to less than 3.5 over 2 years. In 1 year, we were below 3.5 times levered, and we're now at a trailing 2.9, $3 billion in free cash flow. So we view ourselves as a free cash flow machine. Over the next 3 to 4 years, we're going to be generating 10, 12, $14 billion in cash. So, that's a metric. And on the metric of free cash flow, we're incredibly cheap. The other thing that we can do is we own all of our IP. And, this product that we're talking about today, Food Network Kitchen, that has real terminal value. The issue with our whole industry is people are concerned who owns the right IP, and are people going to be watching TV, and how often are people going to be watching TV 5 years from now? So if we can get the Food Network Kitchen product working, if we can get our content globally distributed to all the devices, then you'll see, I think, not just an acceleration of our multiple, but people will recognize that we're a very different media company. We're not an entertainment company with very expensive content. We have, between food, home, crime, discovery, Animal Planet, we have content that people love in every language in the world, and we own all of it.
But you are smaller than some of these media giants, especially after the consolidation we've seen over the past couple of years. And there is this question of, when you're competing for eyeballs, you're competing for ad dollars, and you're dealing with a shrinking viewer base for television with cord cutting, do you need to be bigger to really compete? And to that end, do you need to sell, or would you consider buying more assets?
Well, we have a lot of free cash flow, so we're always looking to buy assets if we could find assets.
And what type of assets?
that will help us grow faster. IP, basically. I mean, we have already 10 to 12 channels in every country around the world. Our business is growing low to mid-single, generating a lot of free cash flow. And so our overall strategy over the last 5 years has been to get more compelling content and own it globally. But in terms of this question of how big do we need to be, if you're one of those 8 entertainment companies that are trying to do scripted series and scripted movies, they're all fighting over one pie, and it's very crowded. When it comes to food, we own almost all the great chefs and all the great food content. We own almost all the home content. In science and natural history, we did a deal with the BBC, global deal, where we own almost all the science and natural history in the world. So in our niches, we're the aggressively, overly dominant player.
But you didn't answer my question, though. What types of content companies or studios or media companies would you want to acquire, and is Discovery for sale?
Discovery is not for sale.
At the right price?
As a public company, every public company is for sale. But we think we have great free cash flow, a great balance sheet, really good assets. But we bought a partnership with the PGA Tour through the end of 2030, where we own golf, all of golf, most of golf all around the world. We bought Golf Digest, and we did a deal with Tiger Woods. We did a big deal with the BBC for all of their IP in the natural history space. So, owning more and better IP gives us a much clearer path to get onto every device, and it's more of a reason why people are going to want to hang out with us and our content.